Let me paint a familiar picture. That feeling of waking up in the morning, feeling groggy, feeling like everything is a slog for the first half of the day. When you first wake up and you don't have the motivation to really get yourself moving, and time just feels like it's moving slow. Maybe you wake up, you get on your phone, you nod off, you fall back asleep, but it's difficult to find that energy or that initial spark to get yourself going. That cycle could continue day to day, week to week, and you eventually feel yourself or you find yourself stuck in that cycle of not getting done as much as you wanted to do right as soon as you wake up in the morning. This is a challenge for many people, including myself. I have a lot of experience with this sort of toughness waking up in the morning and getting myself moving. Those countless mornings where you just wake up and you really don't wake up, you're just sitting there. You go on YouTube, you go on any social media, Reddit, and you just find yourself distracted, scrolling, not thinking about the great night of sleep that you got the night before. Many may say that you just need to find this pattern to catch the reason why you're staying in this mode for so long before you get moving. But that's the trick, is being able to find that pattern and to be able to determine why you're doing what you're doing. It might not always be that you're not getting enough sleep, and that's the reason why you're maybe taking a long time to get going in the morning. But recognizing that pattern is sort of that first initial step in being able to crawl yourself out of this mentality. Under the curtain, these moments could be that transitionary period between when you're the person you are when you wake up to the person that everybody sees in the world and the person that you want everyone to see. This is almost like the waiting room to be a person. So how do we get to that place where we're actually able to recognize this behavior and see the pattern for what it is and actually be able to understand what it is we're doing? This comes down to recognizing what a pattern actually is and how it permutates throughout the weeks for you, what you're used to doing, what you're comfortable with doing, and what is usually okay. So once you end up doing a behavior, you repeat the pattern for a while, it becomes the new normal. And once that new normal is established, it is easy to unconsciously fall into and repeat the same patterns over and over again. This idea of grogginess and not being able to wake up in the morning could result from other behaviors and patterns that you formed, such as not being able to fall asleep when you would like to, maybe before midnight or at midnight. In my case, it's quite an achievement to fall asleep before the clock strikes 12. And if I do manage to get that sleep, even then, waking up would be a challenge. So what do? I have to recognize that behavior and what I'm actually doing week to week and sort of just see it for what it is, lay it out, and be honest with yourself to actually see that thing for what it is. The new normal could be positive or it could be a negative experience. It's not really attributed to the experience. The positive or negative is just a way we end up seeing it. So the body and mind believe it to be true. Whatever it is that you're telling it to do, whatever it's learning, whatever patterns it's repeating, it doesn't see them as positive or negative, good or bad. It only sees them as they are and that they work and that they're somewhat comfortable. So we should keep repeating them over and over again. And it takes that sort of awareness and that insight into yourself to be able to crawl away from that new normal if it's not serving you in the way you would like it to be serving you. There are times where it's positive and you see that you've formed some good habits and you understand that, well, this is working for me and I could keep it going or keep the train going. Sort of like when you're dieting, right? A lot of people would consider that an example of good habit formulation, a new normal that's helping out your mind and your body. And a lot of people are successful with that and stay the course. And many people, such as myself, would end up falling off. And to get back on that train, it's very difficult because you're so accustomed to your old ways. Getting to that point of being able to ditch the old habits and replace them with these new ones um, has a lot to do with accepting your current behaviors so that you could eventually end up replacing them. And you want to accept and not resist your old behaviors. Resisting your old behaviors will make it very difficult for your mind and your body. It's like jumping into a cold plunge, and what many people do when they jump into a cold plunge is they run right back out because it's so uncomfortable. And it's the same concept with coming into accepting something. You need to accept the circumstance for what it is before you could actually end up resisting it. It's a bit of a counterintuitive process, but that's the way results are gained in the long run. Best way to accept is generally found through taking a step back and breathing and seeing your conditions for what they are. Not really getting caught up in your defenses or excuses to why you might do something, but just seeing that thing for all of its bad effects so that you can actually end up replacing it. The key here would be reflecting enough in order to increase your self-awareness to the point that your self-awareness and your ability to reflect is almost automatic. So you're used to this process of looking at your old ways, taking that inventory, and adjusting accordingly based on that insight. So you get a strong cycle of being able to reflect, increasing your self-awareness, and then making the change based on insight. And that process of insight is continuous. There's not going to be a point where you're saying, well, this is great, I'm the perfect person now and everything's well and good. It is this continuous drive that you need to have, and it's a very diligent effort. That leads to my last point here, where you need to commit to the process. You need to actually stay with it and tell yourself that this is what we're going to do, maybe for this period of time. It's not indefinitely, but maybe you want to start somewhere and end somewhere. That way you feel like you can stay with it long enough to make your body comfortable with the uncomfortable. At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to, is becoming comfortable with aspects of yourself that are genuinely not desired and strayed away from. But once you find them, and once you find those things and actually just end up doing them and changing your ways, you actually do sink into it a little bit and become comfortable with that new normal. This process could create a lot of anxiety and spring you right into impulsive action and deterring the path of whatever you have been following, because you become so sidetracked and it just leads you to doing whatever. Maybe you're just going to start, staying up super late or just laying in bed forever because you can't make any changes, or you're not seeing this type of progress. You'd want to here pay close attention to avoiding this solution-based problem-solving mentality, because if you keep trying to solve your problems, you may create more for yourself. What you have to do is listen and stay with those problems. Truly see it for what it is. I know I've said that a lot this video, but I truly mean that. Really listen to what's going on in your mind. Pay close attention to it and don't stray from it. Stay with it for a little bit. It's a lot like meditating, but it's not quite as difficult. You just stay with it, for a period of time and you train yourself to do that continuously, maybe for 10 seconds a day, it doesn't take a lot of time, and you build that up 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, eventually get to the point where you are very comfortable with that self-reflective awareness process. I hope that this video helped. I do think that, this is a grand topic, one that does require a lot of distilling and being able to really listen and understanding your problems can be a long road and a fun one at that, right? With a lot of twists and turns. The example I used at the beginning of being groggy and not being able to wake up is just one that I've seen others experience and one that I have experienced myself. And being able to actually wake up earlier, get myself out of bed, go to the gym, get moving, it takes time and you have to do it incrementally. You cannot just brute force it and tell yourself to go right away. It does take time and you have to sit with that. So thank you for watching. Please feel free to comment. I highly encourage discussion, and I'll see you next time.